On July 14, 2026, YouTube's biggest star married his longtime girlfriend on a private island. Jimmy Donaldson, known to 500 million subscribers as MrBeast, called it the best day of his life. But outside the walls of that isolated tropical sanctuary, his carefully constructed billion-dollar empire was facing the threat of a catastrophic public collapse. The wedding was a highly guarded event, limited to 70 guests on Richard Branson's Necker Island, a 74-acre private resort in the British Virgin Islands. His bride, Thea Boosen, met Donaldson in 2022 in her home country of South Africa. A neuropsychology graduate, she was described by those in Jimmy's circle as a grounded presence in his high-speed life. For a man whose entire career is built on public spectacle, this extreme privacy was a calculated anomaly. The island wedding wasn't just a ceremony, it provided a temporary, controlled shield from a public life that was spinning out of his control. Usually, Donaldson's world is defined by excess. He recently spent $500,000 just to rent out Disneyland for a single date night with his then-fiancée. The wedding was different. There were no cameras following the guests and no YouTube challenges for the bridesmaids. By hiring Richard Branson's private island, he purchased a tier of gate-kept privacy that few other creators can access. But as the week-long celebration continued in the tropics, his business operations back in the United States were entering a legal minefield. The wedding forced a sudden, dramatic scale-down. It was a brief departure from the massive corporate machine he had spent years building, a machine that was now facing multiple lawsuits. The trouble centered on Beast Games, a $100 million deal with Amazon Prime Video. It promised 1,000 contestants a shot at a $5 million prize, the largest in the history of television. But translating a YouTube format to a network production strained his logistics to the breaking point. During the preliminary filming rounds at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, the framework began to fail. Contestants filed a class-action lawsuit alleging chronic mistreatment, withheld food and medication, and ignored reports of sexual harassment. The corporate pressure deepened when Canadian production company MHQ filed a separate $5 million breach of contract lawsuit against Donaldson's company. Scaling a business at this speed bypassed standard ethical and logistical guardrails. What began as a philanthropic brand was now a massive legal liability. While the legal cases mounted, Donaldson's personal inner circle was also coming apart. Longtime associate Ava Chris Tyson exited the channel following severe allegations of grooming, leading to a complete severance of their professional relationship. Donaldson himself was forced into a defensive position, publicly apologizing for his own past use of homophobic and racist slurs in earlier videos. The uncurated behavior that defined the early era of YouTube was proving incompatible with the institutional standards of a global corporate brand. Amidst the lawsuits and scandals, another voice emerged from his past, Maddie Spidell, who dated Donaldson during his massive rise between 2019 and 2022. Just as photos of his new marriage were trending, Spidell released a series of messages that questioned the public image of her famous ex. She shared a cautionary tale, warning young women about scary people who use and hurt others. She referred to her ex as a weirdo and claimed her life had flourished only after spending 3 years away from the relationship. The timing left no middle ground. While the media celebrated a picture-perfect romance, his past was actively warning the public to look closer at the man behind the brand. The newlyweds present a vision of stability that contrasts with the surrounding drama. Thea Boosen, with her graduate studies at the University of Edinburgh, represents a world far removed from the chaos of internet controversies. Donaldson has publicly discussed transitioning from an internet creator to a legacy CEO and has even suggested he might run for the presidency in his 40s. While Boosen represents the stable future he is attempting to build, the lawsuits and Spidell's warnings show that his YouTube past is refusing to stay behind. By 2026, the MrBeast brand had reached a limit. 500 million subscribers and a private island rental provided a temporary sanctuary, but they offered no immunity from the reach of corporate law. The Necker Island wedding was a romantic milestone, but it also functioned as a heavily guarded retreat from a collapsing public narrative. When a personal brand scales into a billion-dollar conglomerate, the creator becomes a corporate executive. And in 2026, Jimmy Donaldson discovered that an empire of this magnitude comes with consequences that can no longer be edited out.